Good morning, everyone. I'm Jonathan Little here with Rampage Poker. We are going to play a hand today against one of my favorite poker players in the world, Sean Winter, who rampages people almost as hard as Rampage Poker.
That's his thing. He's the OG Rampager.
He actually is the OG Rampager. He gets in there and battles at the highest stakes games in the world and then rampages everyone.
But he wins.
There was a tournament a long time ago at a $50,000 final table where I raised, he 3-bet me, and I had ace... So I think I had like ace-6 suited in a weird bubble spot, and I was so close to just ripping it in on him for loads. And I was so mad because I knew he was supposed to 3-bet me, and I knew I wasn't supposed to shove, but I folded, and he had the king-7.
Would have worked.
I know that's not even that big of a rampage spot, and it was probably standardly played by both of us, but I knew I should have been in. Whatever. No bad beat stories here. Today...
Bad beat, man. Didn't 4-bet jam the ace-6 suited.
It was a blunder.
Rub.
All right, under the gun raises, Sean Winter calls in the cutoff seat. We are playing in the early levels of a $10,000 buy-in super turbo bounty tournament that Jonathan Little took 12th place in. King Queen on the button. You can call. You can 3-bet. Do whatever you want. I probably call.
Yeah, infinite deep. I thought both were fine.
We are 120 big blinds deep, so deep stacked. I will say maybe there's a little bit of merit in 3-betting here, assuming you can collect bounties, which I'm not exactly sure stack sizes, because if you have 59.9 and they have 60,100, you should actually be calling a lot. But if you have the 61,000 or whatever, and you can collect their bounties, you should be way more inclined to 3-bet.
Are we trying to play a 200 big blind pot with King Queen off?
You want the option. No, you're not trying to get it in, but you want to have the option to get it in if you happen to make the nuts. And 3-betting pre-flop will result in that sometimes. Obviously, if you get 4-bet, it's terrible, but... I don't hate it, and the good blocker hands like King Queen, King Jack, King 10, Ace 10.
It's nice being on the button to have a lot of options.
Sure, and in bounty tournaments, when you cover your opponents, you generally just want to make the pot bigger. Across the board, in general. Whatever, fine, call's fine. Big blind calls, flop comes, Ace, Jack, 3, 2 clubs. We have the King of Clubs. Sean Winter goes for the bet. Obviously, he loves to bet.
He bets sizable.
He bets about 2/3 pot, 3/4 pot, something like that. And with our gut shot and our position, what do you like?
Either calling or raising, and I didn't really know. I felt like having the King of Clubs is pretty significant here to block the draws, have a lot more equity, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm drawing to the nuts.
It sounds like you need pokercoaching.com.
It sounds like you need some help.
Yes.
Because I'm all over the place. I'm in between raising or definitely not folding, but I'm in between raising or calling.
PokerCoaching.com would recommend call. And the reason is because Sean Winter, I think, has almost all of the nuts in his range. He is not always going to 3-bet jacks pre-flop. He'll have 3s for sure. He'll have ace-jack for sure. And he'll have ace-3 suited for sure. Now, he may 3-bet some of those, but all of those are well within his range. The nice thing about the King-Queen as well is that you actually beat all the draws. It's very, very valuable to have a hand that even though it's drawing, beats all of your opponent's draws, because he's going to have a lot of 9-8 of clubs type stuff.
I have the nut nothing, which beats all draws.
Correct. Now, you do have the King of Clubs, which is kind of a weird card, because they can't have King 9 of clubs or whatever, but I think that's just fine. I don't think it matters that much, because when a club comes, you're obviously
Are you calling with King Queen no club?
No, I think I would just let it go.
Okay, see, that's...
The club does matter.
Yeah.
So you're right. The club is good. I mean, I think you'd almost rather have King with a Queen of Clubs, because then they can have King with a 9 of clubs or whatever. But it probably doesn't matter that much. It's negligible. Here, I don't think you can fold. If we were much shallower stacked, you'd be way more inclined to fold, because then you don't have nearly the implied odds. But very, very deep stacked, in position, you want to be calling and trying to spike, because whenever you do happen to spike a 10, or you make a flush, you're very likely to win a big pot. Now, if you can somehow make a read that the big blind or under the gun is going to put in a check raise here, maybe you just want to fold immediately. But look, you're playing a $10,000 tournament. You're not going to have great reads on your opponents.
No, there are no reads.
That is an interesting point. People always ask me, in the high-stakes games, how do you get reads on those players? The answer is, you don't really.
These people get to the high stakes without giving off reads.
It is mandatory in the high stakes to not be a tell box. If you have a lot of tells and you try to play the high stakes, you're going to lose all your money quickly.
It's not going to go well.
It's not going to go well. So anyway, we have no reads. We're just trying to play well. All right, you call. Under the gun calls. Kind of a weird hand to call. What are they doing here?
It is very weird.
This should be a lot of
just ace X.
Decent aces.
That's it.
But even then, like, say your opponent has like ace 5, it may just be a fold immediately.
Ace 5 seems like a fold. Ace queen.
Ace queen probably needs to call.
10. Sure.
dicey spot. This is a spot where the under the gun players drastically going to under-realize their equity. They're going to end up folding out a lot by the river, especially against generally aggressive opponents like Sean Winter and Rampage Poker. So maybe he's supposed to just check raise hands like ace queen and go from there, but it's a dicey spot. It's nasty.
It feels like if you're just calling with an ace, you're just not going to win ever multi-way out of position.
Especially against these two
on
players.
Any run out. Yeah, you're just not going to be comfortable.
Well, it'd be different if like your opponents are just going to check down with their ace X and their busted draws. But
I'm not.
You're not doing that.
Sean's not. We're not doing that.
Yeah, clearly not happening today. All right, turn is the 10 of clubs. You make
spike
a straight and the nut flush draw
royal draw
and a royal flush draw. How many royal
world.
flushes have you had in your life?
1 online. So it doesn't count. Oh, 2. No, one live. I vlogged it. It was in a 1-3 game. Oh, it was great.
Wait,
yeah,
you have a video? You have a video blog?
I might have. Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm trying to start one up.
What's your YouTube channel? I'll send some people there. Maybe you get a few followers.
Greg?
Yes. Greg goes all in?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. In this hand, Sean Winter has 4,300.
So small. So annoying.
Yeah, I think you can either call or raise. Either one's acceptable.
Yeah, at this point now, I had a more of a decision of raising or calling here.
This is another one where if you cover your opponent, I think you should be way more inclined to raise. Just because if you get it all in,
the bounties
behind,
in play. Yeah.
Worst case, you have some outs to the
I did cover him.
Yeah.
In real time, but I don't know.
It's
It's like if I so let's say I raise, right?
Yeah.
And he calls.
Yeah.
Are there actually hands that I beat besides like 2 pair? I guess it's like a thin
sets
and 2 pairs.
Sets and 2 pair. I mean, there's a decent number of those. He could easily have ace 10, right? He could easily have ace jack. Easily could have threes. Could have jacks. I mean, there's a lot of them available. And he's the type of player who may be sitting in here with a hand like king with a queen of clubs, right? Which you're smashing. So I think you can raise and then just put a bunch of money in against good, strong, battling opponents. Now, if you're playing against weaker, tighter, more straightforward opponents, maybe not.
Wouldn't this also still be a raise against those players?
Well, the weaker, tighter, straightforward opponents are going to be way more inclined to bet with mostly flushes on the turn.
That's true.
So they may just check with sets and 2 pairs.
Fair enough.
But as your opponents are better and better, they're usually value betting thinner and thinner. And you can get it in wider against good players, typically. Especially battling players.
Yeah, he is yeah, he definitely does battle. I mean, he's betting into 2 other players multi-way when the flush gets there, so...
Yeah, he's probably going to be pretty polarized here, but I definitely think he's going to have some non-nut hands, like 2 pairs and whatnot. So anyway, he goes 4,300. You decide to call, which is fine. Again,
it wasn't I don't think it was a mistake that I called, but I think like if I thought it through, I feel like there are maybe the better option is to raise. Maybe still pick the best option. I still think are fine.
What is a mistake?
It's not a mistake. It's just like not playing as optimally or maximizing the opportunity.
Isn't that a mistake?
It is a mistake, but it's not like a net negative.
It's not a blunder, right?
It's not a blunder.
So folding would be bad.
Right.
That would be a mistake. And, I mean, at the end of the day, there is almost certainly one correct play here. Either you should call or you should raise. I don't even know which one it is. Probably no one does. And I bet the solver probably even mixes it up some. Maybe calls. I don't know. But it's important to make sure you pick the best play and not just a good play. Now, folding's the only bad play, and I don't know the difference in equity between calling and raising.
Right.
But I bet one of them is a mistake compared to the other.
Probably.
All right, I like call. Call's good. Fine, whatever. We call. River's the 10 of spades. Ugh. We say because now we lose to the random full houses, and I definitely think jacks is available and threes is available, and jack 10's probably not available, but I bet ace 10 is reasonable enough.
Ace 10 for sure.
So the question then becomes, if we raise, will he call with worse? And what is worse here? Worse would be
ace jack. That seems to be about it.
You can maybe have queen 10 somehow if he decided to be splashy. He might not even call with that though. Tough spot for sure.
Queen 10 off too. It wouldn't be like clubs or anything.
It would be a chunky one.
Oh, queen 10 of diamonds or whatever or just spades. I don't even know. Nope, that doesn't exist anymore.
It's hard to read the board over here.
Nothing exists. It's all black.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think this is just a call. It's an annoying spot. When your opponent does go really small, out of position on the river, if they are very good, as Sean Winter is very good, his range is going to contain a little bit of nuts that he's never folding. It's going to contain a decent amount of thin-ish value hands, a lot of which will fold to a raise, and it's going to contain a few bluffs. So what are the nuts that he's never folding? It's going to be full houses, very, very clearly. His value hands will be stuff like ace-jack, trying to get thin value from you, or maybe like random queen 10 of hearts.
What do you think about a small bet on the river here?
Well, I'm telling you what it is right now. I think it's either super nuts, good, thin-ish value hands that you beat, but a lot of them will fold to a raise, or it's going to be just some airball bluffs. And there really aren't a whole lot of airball bluffs, really. I mean, so in this spot, I think it's probably safe to call, because I don't think he's going to call your shove or raise too often, unless he knows you, unless he's seen the video blogs, and maybe he thinks you're nuts. But I think here you just have to call. It's an annoying spot where you have the best hand a lot, but if you do raise, I think you're not going to get action all that often.
Right.
You call. He shows you the 3 and the 3 for the super nuts.
I lose.
You lose, but you didn't lose a lot.
I didn't.
And I think what happens to a lot of players is they get it in their head, on the river my opponent bets small, therefore they can't have the nuts because they would always bet big with the nuts. But good, strong, world-class players will mix in some nuts that are never folding to a raise with their checking range, their small betting range, and their big betting range. And therefore, you don't know they don't have the nuts. And it's very important to make sure that in spots like this, you really consider what will they call my raise with. And to be fair, if he bets here on the river with a hand like a 10 for thin value, and then you put in a small raise, he may rip it in on you as a bluff, blocking the boats.
That would be bad. That would be a disaster.
Sean is insane. He'll do random things like that, especially with good blockers. And the best players in the world find the good blocker bluffs every once in a while. Or maybe he rips it in with ace-jack and queen 10 and, just mostly calls with full houses and whatnot and puts you in a really, really nasty spot. So I like your play. I like your play a lot on this hand, all the way across the board. This time it didn't work out, though.
Jonathan Little approved.
Jonathan Little approved.
You can't win every hand, but at least you can play every hand well. Or try your best to.
That is very true. You have to realize, whenever you go to play poker, all you can do is show up with the strategies you have learned ahead of time, everything you've studied, and then play your best. And then make sure you actually play your best. Don't just, lose your mind and punt off your stack randomly.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Sometimes there's a lot of pain after punting a lot of your chips.
Do you feel pain when you punt off your chips?
It depends if I feel like it's a punt or not. Sometimes recently it hasn't felt like I've punted much. But maybe we haven't gone over enough hands. I'm not sure.
I mean, look, in reality, if you think a play is good and you have good reason to think it is good, then you should not be too sad about your bluffs. Now, Ideally, you try to work with the solvers and make sure your bluff is actually approved. If your bluff is solver approved based on whatever range you think your opponent has, and you do it and it fails, and they made a call that is a very clear logical call, it's not like it makes some insane hero call and your rangers were way off, then it's fine. It's fine. Don't feel any pain.
I felt really good after looking up the 4-5 of hearts with Garrett on Hustler. I'll say that. I felt really good.
Where can people watch that video?
Your channel, my channel, Hustler's channel, everyone's channel. Just YouTube.
YouTube. Search Rampage Poker.
We're on the pokercoaching.com.
I don't know. I review so many hands here. I have no idea what hand you're talking about.
You went over it, and you can find it.
Did you play it well or poorly?
I thought I played it well. There was one mistake. But overall I thought it was fine.
Good. It's important to make sure you play fine. No Limit Hold'em is a difficult game. Study hard, work hard. What a lot of people do wrong is they just play way too tightly and they never get out of line and they're super easy to play against. But Rampage does the opposite. He errs towards being insane, and it's actually easier to tone down an insane person than make a tight person be way more insane. So you're on the right side of it. We have to
pull the reins a little bit.
Pull in the reins just a little, and well, you're already crushing. You're already smashing the game. So good job, good work. I'm happy for you. People can follow Rampage. Search Rampage Poker all over the internet. Good luck in your games. Have fun. Click the like and subscribe buttons down below. It helps the channel. It lets the YouTube overlords know that you like us.
Yeah, hit the like button. Makes us feel good.
We'll talk to you next time. Goodbye.